Fucking hell. Sorry about that. So yeah, welcome everybody.
Yeah, we're
number 6. Are we on number 6?
Yeah, number 5 was kind of epic though, right?
Mate, let me tell you about number 5. Yeah, I want to send a big shout out to Uno because
fuck Uno.
Because since like last week, like Facebook has been popping up. Obviously, he got himself kicked out of your group.
Yeah, however, it's just to say, obviously, I added him to the group because I agreed if he proved he was a real person, like a year ago, that I would bring him back. And I brought him back, and he lasted 3 days. We're going to let in today's guest is going to join us now as well, and you can carry on. But let's just get in there.
Do you want to talk about why you banned him from your group?
Why I banned Uno from the group?
Yeah, considering this is last week's guest.
Yeah, so a little follow-up, innit? In 1 week, like, so much, because I thought he actually did good on the show. Like, he's such a... He's
very good.
On the internet, yeah? But he came across better talking on the show than he does in his posts online. I let him back in the group, and then he just wrote some wild stuff about... What did he write, man? I can't remember. It was on your post.
Well, the post was a picture. It was the article was about some Ugandan Jewish people not being denied right to live in Israel, and made a sarcastic comment. Like,
oh yeah, they look very Jewish.
Yeah, he made a sarcastic comment, and then proceeded to dig himself a deeper hole.
Because he dug in it. Because obviously the group has rules against racism, stuff like that. And so many members of like, I don't really like shutting down conversations and shutting people out. But if people feel like they're cut out of a space because like someone's saying something that makes them uncomfortable and all of that, then I can't, like, he has to go, innit?
With that conversation, the first line, I posted it. Now the very first comment, it was like, you know what, this needs to stop, because I can see at some point somebody's going to get offended by this. Like, there's no other way. Someone's going to get offended, whether it be a Jewish person or an African person. You know what I mean? Somewhere along the line, someone's going to get offended. So that was my whole reason of wanting to turn off the comments or even delete the post.
Yeah.
You know, and I get what you were saying. Like, okay, we've got to let everyone have their say. And at the same time, I wanted to kind of protect Uno's reputation as well, because what a lot of people don't know, I've taken Uno under my wing. Yeah, I've taken Uno under my wing. Yeah, I said it earlier. I've took him under my wing, and you know what I mean. I don't agree with anything he says, to be honest. Nothing. I don't agree with anything he says. I just think.
Can you hear me?
TV. How you doing?
Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yes. How are you?
All right, good. So I was just having an issue. Like I told you in it earlier, Terra, this is my first Zoom ever. So I'm like, I didn't know what the fuck I'm doing.
Wow.
You made it anyway, so it's all good.
I'm sure Terra's first Zoom was only a few weeks ago when we started this.
Okay.
It was. So yeah.
But yes, thank you, Terra, for like suggesting that I come on, and thank you, Novar, for having me on as well.
Well. Terra rightly said we need to have like women coming on the show in this space. And,
yeah, of course.
Exactly. And also, this is our first guest that isn't pro lockdown. Yeah,
is it?
This is our first.
All of that.
Nova's tried to make this as one-sided as he could. Yeah, he's tried. You know what I mean? You get me? Nova's tried to make it as right-wing as possible.
I've even been arrested for breaching COVID regulations. I know, Terra, you know about it. I don't know, Nova, if you've seen any of the videos or anything of me getting arrested for breaching COVID regulations after an anti-lockdown protest. That was pretty interesting.
What happened?
It was traumatic.
Oh, gosh, of course. What happened, though? Tell me about it, because now I haven't seen the video. What happened?
Right, okay. So I attended this anti-lockdown protest, and I was attending to perform a poem as well. As you guys know, I'm a spoken word artist. So the protest was marching down to the BBC building in Nottingham.
Yeah.
And I have a poem about the BBC. So I was like, right, excuse me a sec, because I knew my dog was going to do this. Come here. Come here, good boy. We got a dog in the room.
One. We love dogs.
So basically, I've performed my poem. Oh, sorry, just to rewind a little bit. At the beginning of the protest, the police were there. The police agreed to cooperate. They agreed not to get physical. They said they just chaperoned the protest, and they were made aware of where the protest would be marching. So we marched. We went to the BBC. I performed my poem. We marched again and went to another area in Nottingham, and there were some more speeches. And then basically, on dispersal, I was leaving and saying goodbye to some people, and I was grabbed from behind by the police. They didn't even speak to me, they just grabbed me from behind. So I've kind of like pulled myself out of it. They weren't trying to give me no explanation. They were just basically shouting at me about breaching COVID regulations.
Wow.
Refused to give my details. And to cut a very long story short, I had a panic attack because I've got PTSD. So I had a panic attack. I was having flashbacks of traumatic events. I was trying to explain this to the police and they would not let go of me. It ended in like 15 to 20 police officers surrounding me. I got dragged off, cuffed, put in a van. Like there's literally a point where I'm at the back of the van and you cannot see me at all because I am that covered and surrounded by the police. And like just to put it into perspective, like I'm like 5'3". I'm about like 9.5, 10 stone. I'm a pretty small person. And when you see the videos and the excessive force and how distressed I am, like it's horrible. It's awful. And they said I was going to get a fine in the post. This was like 3-4 weeks ago now. I've still received no fine. I wasn't charged. I got out my handcuffs in the back of the van.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm double jointed, right? So I got out my handcuffs in the back of the van, and the bastards stopped the van, dragged me out the van to recuff me, and they dealt with me so aggressively that like random members of the public like stopped to intervene and try help me.
Jesus Christ.
It doesn't 20 police officers, huddled up on a person and on each other doesn't really sound like much social distancing and avoiding of
literally hands all over me.
So Nova, do you think this is an appropriate use of force? Because I don't know how anti-lockdown you are.
I'm not.
But,
I'm not.
I'm anti-lockdown all the way.
I'm definitely not pro-police force.
Brutality. That's brutality.
Yeah, but I'm not even police. If you want to say use of appropriate force, I don't really think there's much use of that. Many times there is such thing as appropriate force.
So Jesse, in Nottingham,
yeah, I allege that it was false arrest, false imprisonment. I was assaulted, battery because of them cuffing me. There were some comments made by the police when I was kind of like having a panic attack. They said that I shouldn't come out if this is how I get. So that's also discriminatory behaviour. I allege that my human rights were breached, that they completely breached their police oath as well. And I do believe that they arrested me to administer a fine, and I believe that's completely unlawful. So,
do you think there was some sort of like personal, like grudge they had due to the poem that you read out?
Totally believe I was targeted because just like this is kind of a bit that I missed out of the story. Like all the other people that were there at this point were people from the protest. Nobody else got arrested. My friends were literally like, one of my friends had hold of my hood, was pulling me off the police saying, no, we're going home. My other friend literally grabbed hold of a police officer to make a citizen's arrest on him. No one else got grabbed. No one else got grabbed. No one else got arrested, apart from other groups that had dispersed as well. The only other people that were arrested were people who spoke and some of the organisers. And when I got to the police station, the sergeant who took me in turned around to the desk sergeant. They were trying to have a quiet word, but not quiet enough because I heard it. Because the desk sergeant seemed confused as to why they brought me in. And this sergeant turned around and said, she's one of the main ones. And I'm like, hold on a minute. How can I be one of the main ones? All I did was read a poem.
Yeah. So they view you as like an organizer or something like that. That's what they probably was trying to. Obviously, they probably knew you wasn't, but they were probably trying to use that as their justification.
They just wanted to know who I was. They wanted my details, and they were going to do anything to get me in, to get my details, and find out exactly who I was. There's even on like the beginning of the video of the arrest of the incident happening, one guy literally turns around and says, because someone says, why Jess? Why Jess? Like, why out of everybody here, why Jess? And one guy literally turns around and says, because she spoke, and she spoke loud.
Yeah. And the poem itself was quite a I don't know, for anyone who heard it, I'm sure it would have
controversial, man.
Oh yeah, controversial ain't the word, but at the same time, you're speaking the facts. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. And okay, I did swear, but before because like I am quite sweary and controversial and stuff. But before I even started the poem, I did like warn there will be swearing. So it's not like I just swore out the blue. I warned there would be swearing.
Yeah. Well, I don't think the swearing was the main issue, really. I think
it's probably the fact that one of the lines is broadcasters bed children.
Well, yeah. Well, you know, and it's facts. But you know,
my internet just cut off and I vanished there, and I come back and you're still here. I don't know if it might have interrupted.
It was fine. We didn't even know you was gone over. Fucking hell. Anyway, so I was going to say, since that's happened, have you been harassed and, you know, like spied on by the police since? Yeah.
Well, I said I've been harassed literally yesterday. So I went down to court yesterday to go and give my friend some video evidence that he needed from. He was arrested. We helped a cafe stay open, and he was arrested. So I went down to give him this evidence, and like we were trying to get in the court with him, and it weren't happening. It was waiting. The head of security had gone to speak to the judge to see if we could come in, and told us to wait in the foyer. But then all the rest of the other security were being really like aggressive and rude, and they ended up removing me and my friend like physically, and they called the police as an emergency. Literally 3 squad cars turned up. Fortunately, the first 2 officers on scene were quite calm, but the officer of my original arrest was there, and like we recognized each other straight away, and I kind of panicked straight away. So much that this officer, like the officer that was first speaking to me, noticed, and like was like, "You need to go sit down. Are you okay?" And I basically explained the situation, and that I was going to be complaining about this officer and that he'd assaulted me and all of this stuff. And because of this one officer made my initial arresting officer go and stand like really far away from us. So that was quite. That was a nice little win there. Like, yeah, you've got to go stand over there.
Yeah, stand in the corner, you bastards. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was a little bit of a weird situation. Like yesterday, I did think we were all going to get arrested again, because I was like, well, there's quite a few of us here like supporting my friend at court. Are they going to try and do us for breaching COVID regulations again? But nothing happened. The situation kind of de-escalated. Fortunately, I'd videoed everything that happened like in the court with security, so I just instantly showed the police what had happened. The police tried to say it was lawful removal, but I was like, no, this security officer has got no right to put his hand on me.
Yeah.
Wow. I sympathize and agree. All of this stuff is very wrong, but I'm interested because Terra never gives me an answer about any of this stuff. I think maybe you'll give me a better answer.
Okay.
What is your stance like against like the lockdown and COVID conditions?
So my stance, I know there's many like COVID deniers out there. Yeah. I don't deny that COVID is a thing. I think it's been manipulated and manufactured to bring in all these rules and regulations and bring in control. A lot of my stance on all of this is that fundamental human rights and universal human rights supersede all laws and regulations. I had a period where, yeah, do you know what? I was very angry and I was very pissed off and I was very upset and frustrated with some of society. I'm now kind of more at the point of I accept that people are going to do what they want to do, and I'm not trying to change everyone's mind and make everyone believe what I believe. I just want us to be able to have the freedoms that we should have, sort of thing. And I'm scared where this is leading for us, and I'm scared that people aren't seeing where this is leading with the slow kind of removal of human rights.
I vanished again, man. I hope this isn't coming out really bad on the.
No, yeah, we did. No, it's cool. It's cool. We like you we wouldn't have noticed if you never said nothing. We wouldn't have noticed.
But I'm saying my internet's moving funny, so my internet is broadcasting this onto YouTube, isn't it? So.
But it's still right. It's still going. It's still going. You get me?
I hope so, man.
Don't worry about it too much. So where was we?
In fact, hold on.
Yeah.
I don't think the YouTube thing's even on.
No,
Is it on?
I can see the YouTube thing on.
Oh, it's on. Okay.
Mm-hmm. But I don't know what happens. I don't know what's happening whenever like two times my internet's cut off now, and I'll come back. But I don't know what's happening on the live when that happens.
Well, yeah, it's been flowing anyway. So, yeah, you know. Yeah. So. So what I was going to ask, yeah. So in Nottingham, are people quite anti-lockdown, as opposed to somewhere like London, which seems
London's completely anti-lockdown though.
No, it's not.
Do you know what? I mean, obviously, I can't speak for the whole of Nottingham. I personally don't think there's enough of us who come out to the protest, and there could be a lot more. And when we have the most amount of people come out to protest in Nottingham, it's because people have come from other cities. It's not all people from Nottingham. I think there's a lot of people in Nottingham who are like scared and feel fearful to come out. But also, past couple of days, I've been in town and I've walked through town, and it shocked me the amount of people that are walking around with masks on, like even outside, not just in the shops and stuff, just walking around outside. And I'm like, whoa, this is a lot of people taking this seriously.
Do you feel angry at the people that are wearing masks like Terra does?
I used to feel a bit frustrated and angry about it, but like I said earlier, that frustration has dropped a little. It does peak every now and again, but I had a moment, right? It's a really interesting moment, I think anyway, so I share it with you. But I had a little moment where I thought about sort of how the government are treating society right now and the things that are happening. And I really saw it as like coercive control. And for me, because I've been in a domestic violence relationship and experienced coercive control, and when I was in it, I couldn't see it. I couldn't see like hardly any of it. So it kind of gave me that sympathy and that empathy towards people that maybe can't see certain things and I feel are a bit blind towards certain things.
So what do you think the people are being controlled to do? Because this is a point that I get confused on, because my opinion is the government is anti-lockdown.
Okay. See, I'll beg to differ, because I think maybe the confusion about the control is because people aren't speaking maybe specifically, but it's all just these little tiny things that all add up to controlling people and making people subjugate, not question, and just go along with everything. It's been happening for many, 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 many years.
Yeah, I definitely think that's something that happens in general from government.
Yeah.
They're obviously trying to control people and get us to agree with what agenda
they're basically getting you to be a
manipulation with statistics as well. There's a manipulation with statistics. There's a manipulation with the tests themselves for COVID.
We don't know what that manipulation is, in my opinion, because I've seen claims of manipulations that they're exaggerated and then claims that they're underplayed for different reasons. People are like, so it's like we all got all this information out here.
Have you seen the dispatches? Have you seen the dispatches video that shows the tests coming in, and some of the specific tests have got like red lids, and those ones leak, And these tubes that are coming in for testing of COVID, they're all literally mingling and touching each other, and some of them are leaking.
I haven't seen it, but I've seen a lot of weird stuff that I definitely question and say it's very strange.
I just thought that was interesting because it was an actual dispatchers thing. It wasn't like some conspiracy theory. It was an actual dispatcher.
Whatever information it is, like we got information in the news, whatever, that the news can be a conspiracy theory or whatever the hell you want to call it. It's just there's alternative information all over the place, contradictory information, and we all choosing to believe some of it. My thing is, I'm not trying to believe any of it because I just don't know. It's one of the first times in my life I've always agreed what you're saying about the government, that they're trying to control us. And this is the first time I've sat here and said, I don't really know what they're trying to do, because they don't seem. It seemed like they were.
That's an easy position to take, though.
Of course,
that's an easy position to take.
No, how would you?
You know why it's an easy position to take?
It's much easier to just follow something and make it in it. It's much easier, way easier.
Yeah.
It's much more difficult to stop and say I don't know, and actually have that level of anxiety. You don't know what the fuck's going on.
All right. Well, what do you think? Whether you without knowing, what do you think? Do you think the government is telling the truth?
I'm saying it's so confusing that I can't take a position where I say I can decide.
Yeah, but why don't you have your own position? Why don't you say, okay, I have my own position? I think
don't be a fence-sitter, man.
No, because the information is just not there. There isn't any solid information on this.
Are you turning into a centrist?
No.
Far right.
Don't start throwing labels now.
With your Tory guest last week, mate. Your Tory guest.
That was your mate.
Uno is something else. What?
Wait, listen. When we start selling the Uno t-shirts, mate, I tell you now, they're going to be selling. Yeah, wait, mate, we'll be selling to the right and the left. Yeah, we'll be selling a lot. Mate, I tell you, everyone in Barking's going to have an Uno t-shirt when I'm finished. Everyone.
The bad sleeve up there first.
You got to control the competition as well. You know?
But my thing is like, I don't know. Like, what was I trying to say, man? You don't know, so you're not taking a stance. So you're just going to sit in the background, watch it kick off. I'm looking at what the government are doing, yeah, and I'm saying, I told you, this is my stance. This is actually a stance that I would lean towards, is I don't believe the government even know what they're doing or what their agenda is. I don't think there's a solid agenda from the government right now. I think they're panicking and they're trying to take advantage of whatever they can achieve. I'll agree with the ideas of they're going to try and take power and human rights over this. I think they're trying to do that every day. I think they're always trying to do that.
All right, Nova, look at it like this then. Take it away from a national point of view. Look at it from a globalist perspective. So obviously, we know how incompetent the British government are because we live underneath them. But okay, we're talking about terms of the entire planet.
Yeah, the governments are doing
different things. What's going on?
They're all doing
what is going on? Are these people? Huh?
I really don't know, because at the same time, those different governments all over the world are doing different things.
So are we okay not to trust these people?
Well, of course we don't trust them, but when have we ever?
Are we okay not to trust everything they say? So are we okay to dismiss all the information they say?
I don't trust anything they say. No, 100% not.
No, we're not okay to do it. We still have to listen to some of the stuff that these people.
No, you don't have to listen to them. No, you don't. I don't think
we're okay to dismiss it. Then we're okay to dismiss it and dismiss what they say. Their reasons for laws are.
If you want to dismiss it, dismiss it. I'm saying I don't. Yeah, dismiss what you want. But I'm saying
you're going to dismiss it. You dismiss it.
I'm saying I can't. No, I dismiss most of what the government say in general. Yeah,
but some of it you don't.
No, I'm saying. No, I can't even think off the top what from the government that I don't dismiss. I'll dismiss pretty much all of what they're up to and say.
What about the whole information about COVID-19?
The information about COVID-19 is not coming from the government.
Well, who's it coming from?
Government paid scientists.
Well, how is it even getting to us if it doesn't go through the government? How would the government be allowed information?
Doesn't all go through the government. Information
comes through them.
Scientists, from health organisations, from media outlets, from alternative media outlets, from whatever. None of it can really be. We can't purely say any of it's fucking true.
You trust any of it?
Nova, how can you not trust the government, but you can trust government-paid scientists or corporations that good people in the government have shares in?
I don't trust them either, but I can't take a solid stance and trust the alternative information that's being put there either. Like, I definitely don't trust David.
Okay.
David Axel.
Okay. What about the 12,000 medical professionals that signed the document saying that they don't agree with lockdown or vaccination?
There's no actual proof of that. That's just a meme on the internet. Do you know what I'm saying? That's not real. Like, I can't take a stance. That you telling me that information and showing it to me on a website is the same as showing me the Daily Mail, because you don't actually know it. Like, I'm saying I don't know if either of them are true. And I don't trust either of them.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I know, but I agree with that. Yeah. So what I'm saying is, even me, I get what you're saying. I can't trust anything myself. Even the stuff that I agree with, that I'm reading, I can't trust it. Yeah. So when all I'm left with is my instincts. Yeah. But my instinct has to tell me something. It has to tell me. My instincts can't just leave me thinking, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, my instinct has to tell me something. At that point, I can't trust the information.
That's fair, isn't it? But my whole thing just with what really confuses me about the government in the UK and this position that I'm sure they are trying to take control, as they always are, and you know, and all the things we're kind of touching on. But it's been so obvious that they have not wanted to do a lockdown the entire time. They've just been pressured to. They have not been interested in doing a lockdown, and the whole rest of the world are shaming us for it. We're the country not doing the lockdown. We're only doing it now because we've been so pressured to, and supposedly the numbers are so high. Like,
but there has been lockdown.
All of the actual what we've been seeing in front of us has been anti-lockdown from the government.
Really?
They've told us to go out. But it's just that part's not even debatable. We can go and look at it. They've literally said it in their own mouths. They've constantly said, they've constantly not enforced lockdown since the beginning. There's been no enforced lockdown. They say, have a lockdown, but obviously you've got a perfect.
What is an enforced lockdown? What's an enforced lockdown?
Examples of it being enforced, obviously, from being arrested.
It's not being enforced, and how come the police are being given more powers and enforcing those powers?
You've got a great example that with yourself, obviously experiencing.
No, there's more than that though. There's not just me. There's plenty of videos out there from across the UK of loads of people getting arrested like this.
What percentage of that is of people who are just completely ignoring the lockdown? Because in London, where I am, Terra loves to talk rubbish about London or pro-lockdown. Nobody is following the lockdown. Like, the streets are full every day and have been from the beginning. The parks full, hundreds of people. Nobody.
That ain't what I thought.
I think it's fair to say that
nobody's followed it. There's been hardly any enforcement of it.
Okay, but I think it's fair to say that everywhere there's people who are taking it seriously and people who are taking it less seriously.
Yeah. Nobody's a big separation, but yeah.
Yeah, it's like I was out earlier. I literally nipped to the shop earlier, and within like 5 minutes, I saw 3 different groups of youths, just like 4 to 5 of them, just all hanging around, like people walking around. Past 2 days I've been in town. Town seemed pretty busy. I was surprised how busy town was.
Yeah. Camden High Road, bruv. Everyone's out, bruv.
Boy.
Put your CD. Like, it's fine.
Nah, mate. You know what it is.
Mate. I'm exaggerating. Sometimes it's not as busy as obviously you would imagine.
It's not as busy as normal, but it's surprisingly busy, I think.
Well, at the same time, you know, certain shops are closed. You know, it doesn't matter how many people are out. It just matters how many people's lives are affected. So there's lots of people that can't take their kids to
I'm saying they want it. I'm saying the government
and take their kids anywhere and do it. Yes, there's lots of things that people can't do now with the kids. They can't. At first, they couldn't even go in the playground. They were literally blocking off the kids' playground. The kids weren't allowed to go in swings or in the roundabout.
That's never been that.
That was what's been happening. Trust me, they taped off all the fucking parks.
We had a few parks here that were locked.
Take the parks off. See, trust me, know that.
I ain't seen that. Do you know what they parked? They locked off like the gyms in the park, but I never see them locked off.
Yeah, they locked them off. They locked them off, and they locked off. Trust me, in St Albans and in Somerset where I am, locked the parks off. Literally went and taped up the fucking climbing frame and all that stuff. Yeah, that's basically what they're on. So when you're talking about trust in the government. That's what the government. Remember, yeah, but you were saying it was there's a chance that you don't know. The government could be right. The government could be wrong.
I don't know what they're up to. I'm not saying that. No. We
don't want to know what they're up to, mate.
Listen.
I don't want to know what they're up to.
When I'm saying I don't know, I'm not saying I don't know if there's a chance we should trust them. That doesn't come into it. I'm saying I don't know what they're up to.
I don't know what they're up to either.
I don't know what to think about what the agenda is with everything that's going on. And I'm saying the most clear thing I can see is the whole time the British government have not wanted to do a lockdown. They've wanted to send all the kids to go back to school. They've wanted to do this, they've wanted to do that. But the people, it's more even the people, and maybe that's why Terra gets angry at them so much, because it's more the people saying, look, this is spreading, the government's not taking it serious enough, and pressuring them to do something. And now they're doing it intensely, like more than before.
Yeah, and you're right in a way, because that's what I've heard. I've got it more of the people. For me, it's the people that I've been, you know what I mean? It's the people going, Boris, why haven't you fucking shut the country yet? So when I'm hearing that of the people, it's like you were saying with Uno the other week, we was quite surprised that he wasn't rich. Do you know what I mean? And he was like, just saying, I'm thinking, I don't understand why. Like, don't get me wrong. I know people that are quite wealthy, and for them, the lockdown's not a big deal because they can chill. They got fucking, you know what I mean? They got their big gardens and fucking, you know what I mean? They got their little fortress. They're nice. They do all their online shopping. That's all good. But people that ain't, and people that are literally like self-employed or working in, like, you know what I mean? I don't understand why they would be so, you know what I mean? Like,
I get it though. I'm with you, but
I don't understand why more businesses and self-employed businesses aren't trying to stay open. Like, you see the odd video of a few businesses that have tried to stay open, but it surprised me that more people haven't tried to like stand together. In Liverpool, all the gyms like stood together and said, no, we're all going to stay open.
You're right, because I have seen people who have tried that get shut down hard.
They get shut down hard.
Yeah. No, you're right. That's a good.
They get big 10 grand fine slapped on them. And the police turn up.
What Jess said before that I also agree with. She said you come to the realization of, understanding people or something to a degree. I've always just felt like we are in a mental time that is affecting everybody in a horrible way. It's like, everyone's mental health is on the brink. So however anybody, like whatever conclusion anyone comes to and what they feel they need to do for their safety or whatever, what they feel the information that makes sense to them, I'm not going to get mad at them for it.
No, people need to be able to make their own choice. I've stopped getting mad at people. I want people to be able to make their own choice, but I also want a bit more freedom and people and for all the lies to stop. It just feels like there's so many lies and things being hidden. And I'm scared for the future and what it means for this future. I think especially after my experience with the police as well and how that went down, because it was terrifying, if I'm honest.
This is why I want to stay away from these kind of people. You see these kind of pro-mask people. I know Nova always tries to get at me for it, but my whole thing is, you know what, they can do what they want. I don't care, but I just want to keep my distance from them, innit? Because I don't know, like, if there is something sinister and these people are walking into a meat grinder, I don't want to be anywhere near them when it happens, innit? So that's my whole thing, innit? I don't really want to, when I know people are kind of, they might be scared, and that might be a bit of a cuntish thing for like holding against someone. But overall, this is my life on the line, innit? You know what I mean? I can't take that risk. I can't be hanging it, you know what I mean? So I have to have there has to be a clear division, basically. You know what I mean? If people want to think like that and behave like that and carry on like that, that's cool. But it's up to me, innit? I have freedom of choice if I don't want to associate with them sorts of people. And there's plenty of people that I've known all my life that I've had to stop associating with for these reasons. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's it. That's literally it. There's no more explanation. So
I don't know, man. That's where it gets a little bit dictatorish.
Well, it's not, but that's the thing, and that's just to live not under any kind of dictatorship. Do you know what I mean? This is people who love the dictatorship because they can apply.
Yeah.
Listen, what I'm saying. These are people that can apply, that they like being under some sort of dictatorship.
You said the other week that if you was the government, if you ran the government, that everyone would get healthcare for all, and then you turn around and said, you know, if you're on the right side, so you're like,
if you wake up and still have a passport, literally, you know what I mean? That'll be it. That'll be it, mate. You might not even have a passport by the time I'm finished. By the time I go through the system, delete your records that you ever lived in this country. You know, so yeah.
Whatever you think, like do you think in like 5-10 years time, like some actual conclusive information is going to come out at any point? That's like, right, this is what they were doing. Here's the documents.
No.
Years later,
no. I don't think we'll ever know the full truth.
I was thinking about it like recently. Just for certain time that does happen, you'll get like all these documents will come out, and the FBI was selling crack in the 80s, and we know that now.
Yeah.
I'm saying, like,
I don't think, you know, do you know what it is, Nova? I don't think information needs to come out in 10 years' time because it's already out. You know what I mean? Or however long. Even if, you know what I mean? I think nowadays information gets out so quickly that it's not even like in a historical context. It's literally like, this is what's happening. And then
we don't have confirmed information. That's what I'm saying. On this, we don't have like
we know what it is. We pretty much do, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
if someone that's got that much information, they're going to be using it in their court defense for why they were out and that they weren't breaching. So they're going to be using all the evidence they've got. The
information that could be useful, but the information itself that won't be confirming it. It might even get out of court just because they have the information there and they say that they believe it. That's enough. You know what I'm saying? It's not like the information is going to be able to be proven in court. Well, some might. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But nobody. Terra hasn't shared any information with me in 6 episodes. One quote. It was a quote. I'm not even.
I cannot. Nova. There's certain things I cannot disclose. Certain things I cannot disclose. That's all you need to know.
Right. You know what though? This shit always gets taken over by lockdown. Let's talk about some like feminist stuff.
Well, I was going to ask actually. Yeah, no, because Nova's got his new brand actually. So I was going to ask. I got some questions I even asked. I got put together for Nova.
Okay.
This social justice warrior thing, yeah, Nova.
Yeah.
I've seen and I've heard people taking shots at your boy. You get me? Yeah.
In general, at the
yeah, I've seen them taken at you, at your message, at your brand. You know what I mean? At what you stand for. So as I asked you some questions, so what is the inspiration behind social justice warrior?
So social justice warrior, yeah. This is the second run of merch, the SJW logo. The social justice warrior come about from me, like already from people taking shots at me and me arguing people, challenging people on racism, misogyny, and stuff like that on the internet. Especially a lot of them in our UK hip hop world, because that's the people we've got and engaged with on our social media. And, you know, a lot of the time they would call me a social justice warrior, as they do to, I'm sure, many of us. You know what I'm saying? Like, and they're like, they go, you social justice warrior, you feminazi, you lefty, you communist, all of these kind of words. And I just thought, cool. So it's basically the insult that they give to me, and I thought I'm gonna own that. Yeah. So it was before I did the brand, and now they're taking shots, going, "Oh, that's corny. You're calling yourself." I'm like, yeah, because people like you was calling me before, and I'm like, why wouldn't you want to be a warrior for social justice?
Yeah.
Like, are you anti-social justice then?
Well, yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. Why do you think these people have these criticisms?
It just triggers them, innit? It triggers them in something that they feel that they want to be able to continue to behave in a certain way without anyone saying anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
So they go, they shut it down with like some kind of insult. And what they're doing when they call you a social justice warrior, etc., a lot of the time is they're trying to discredit you and say you don't really mean it. You're doing it for attention.
It's like saying virtue signaler, right?
That's another one, yeah, exactly, virtue signaler.
Well, I really love the way that you've kind of like tried to use it and switch it around as a positive thing and like turn it into a brand. I think it's brilliant. I think it's really like ingenious.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
But yeah,
I
so
was going to ask.
that's
I was
it.
going to ask. Do you think the things that your brand is like tackling, challenging? Do you think these things are prevalent within like the UK hip hop scene, rap scene, urban scene, whatever you want to call it? Do you think these
Well,
things are prevalent?
bro, it started, you know, with the situation you was like witnessing and kind of intertwined in from the beginning with the right-wing kind of white racist rappers that we just started noticing becoming so much more active in the UK hip-hop scene. And then there became a discussion of realizing how kind of whitewashed the whole scene had become, and realizing that, you know, you kind of look at these people and assume that they're going to be like quite like people that are about social justice or quite socially aware people just being into hip-hop music culture. And we've been around all these people for like 10, 20 years. And then I started realizing, really, I don't know these people's political views. And because like political views have become so polarized in the last few years on social media, we started to realize, well, some of these guys are fucked up. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, cool. So we started kind of noticing it and calling it out. And a lot of people was down with that and started seeing it for what it is. And yeah, a lot of other people wanted to shut the conversation up. And then once we went further than that conversation, because in a black music culture and being involved in hip hop, there is still a huge percentage of people that are obviously aware of race issues, racism. They've learned a lot of it through hip hop music in their life. There is a lot of people that are on the right side of that kind of position. But even with them ones, when I started to notice, when I started to talk about feminism and women's rights and stuff like that, even the people that were on the ball with race issues were so on the ball when it came to that conversation. And others. You know what I'm saying? If we start to go into homophobia and other discriminations, it gets more. There's more people.
With the Me Too movement.
Yeah.
And I think maybe more women starting to speak up and speak out. I think that then makes more kind of misogynists come out the closet in the same way sort of the Black Lives Matter movement did.
Yeah, because it makes people fight against it. Like, oh, what about?
Yeah.
And I mean, there's a very kind of difficult conversation that I don't think it's mine to lead or have, like I don't with most of these things, but that with feminism and Me Too gets labelled with this too, that is very geared around white women and white women's problems, and black women are not included in this conversation. And like, so there's a lot of people in the hip hop community who take a stance against those things because of that. And I've seen them say about Me Too, and then I kind of had to kind of look, and I don't know all the information off the top of my head. I don't know if you'll be able to help me, but I realized that Me Too was started by a black woman. And it was kind of, I think there is.
It kind of like went under the radar a bit.
Yeah, like she started it, and that's how it. I can't remember who she was calling out or what was being.
I can't remember exactly how it started, but I'm vaguely familiar with what you're talking about. But it kind of went under the radar. I think so many people sort of, I don't want to say jumped on the bandwagon because it's not that, but you know what? So many people jumped on it, and it kind of took off for a while so much. But then we have like cases like, and I don't want to bring it up because it's the one that always gets brought up, but like the cases like the R. Kelly case.
Yeah.
And that's just not taken as seriously as so many other things. And to me, I believe there is a race issue within that.
You think that the R. Kelly case is not taken as seriously, or it's taken more seriously?
No, it's taken less seriously than other cases.
Yeah. Well, definitely.
And was ignored for a very long time.
So 20 odd years it was ignored.
Because the victims are black women.
Yes. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
There's a conversation where a lot of people will be like, well, R. Kelly is attacked more than Harvey Weinstein, and
I don't believe that, you know.
That's true too, but at the same time, the Me Too movement was very focused around Harvey Weinstein in the beginning. That's a big part of what it started as. But I do think there is some racism on that level. But then I think the main racism is because of who the victims are in those cases, to why R. Kelly's case was kind of ignored for so long. But it's real complicated conversations, like I say. And some of them, when like there's intersectionality of race and different things going on, sometimes maybe it's not my conversation. You Yeah, but
I mean, you mentioned in the title, Nova, about sort of the rise in aggression towards women in the UK hip hop scene. Which
I want to stay on this subject as well. I
think is a fair comment, but for me, I think like the rise of violence against women, the rise of aggression against women is across the board. It's not one community or one section of society. Domestic violence, sexual violence, it spreads across the board massively in every society, every community, every walk of life.
I think the reason why it's been brought up in the hip hop scene though is because where it's like, especially over the last few years, there's been quite a few high profile incidents, and even more lower profile incidents as well, where the artists that aren't very well known but have some serious cases.
Yes.
Now I remember, and Nova, I don't know if you remember this because it was on your group. Nova's got a group called Hip Hop Debates UK.
Yeah, I'm on it. I'm in there.
So I put up a post once, saying like, because the thing is, I was seeing all these things going on. I wasn't seeing any MCs or any of these artists condemning it. So I'm thinking, but this guy's in this person's crew, and he's getting nicked for this, and no one's saying, you know what? Let's make a public statement saying. So I asked the question. I said, is it rape? Is it acceptable in the like UK scene? Now a lot of people started trying to deny it. Like no, it's, you know. And I'm like, they're like, who's been nicked? So now people are trying to get me to name drop people, and I'm like, well, to be honest, I don't need to name drop. I said, just wait, it's all going to come out anyway. It's all going through courts at the moment. It's all come out now. A lot of people are silent.
This was one of the issues that I was going to bring up, Terra, is the fact that it's massively prevalent and it's massively covered up, even by like, you know, guys who know that this is what their friends do and they don't say or do anything about it. Like it's a huge issue, like within the scene that's maybe not so well known. And it's going to be an issue, you know, in the more well known scene as well. It's a massive problem. I've dealt with it personally myself and my own personal experience. I've dealt with it with my friends and seeing things happen mainly within like the Nottingham and London hip hop scenes. And the way
and it's funny because a lot of the same names keep cropping up as well. A lot of these same names keep cropping up. You know what I mean? I'm hearing these certain names I keep hearing, and it's always to do with I don't know, threatening women, you understand, or some sort of you know what I mean, some sort of acting a certain way towards women. So
I was wrong. Like, it's good to point out. I think writing the rise, even in UK or whatever, was wrong. It's not a rise. It was just maybe me and maybe some of us just starting to see it more.
There's definitely been a rise, Nova, because so you know the first lockdown. So the statistics from the first lockdown, 20% of reports to the police were domestic violence in the first lockdown. Refuge, the charity Refuge, women contacting Refuge for help rose 65%. So that was the first lockdown. We went from before the first lockdown, it was 3 women a week in the UK were being murdered by their partners or ex-partners. During the lockdown, that's more than tripled.
Yeah, it's 16.
And where like the statistics are there. Like these statistics are, you know, I'm not pulling this out of thin air. These are statistics that I've looked up.
I studied them as well, so I know.
These statistics I've looked up to write poems about it and stuff. Do you know what I mean? So these are factual statistics that can be looked up. And I'm like, okay, if there's such a rise in it, like where are all these cases? Why do we not hear about it?
Yeah, that's true.
It's not in the media, is it? You don't hear about it.
You know what I noticed around the time of when it became a big story that UK drill rappers were stabbing each other and all stabbings happening in London, I started noticing domestic violence cases where a knife had been involved being reported as if it was part of that. And I'm like, you don't even usually report this, and now you're trying to do it to hype up the little gang narrative that you're putting into the news. That's a domestic violence murder.
But this, I mean, this is the problem. Like, it's not. I mentioned earlier about the problem of people just covering for each other and not bringing it up and ignoring it. But the other huge problem is A, legislation, and B, how the police deal with it, and how deeply victim blaming and shaming runs, how terribly the police deal with it, how these offenders, after breaching bail, and like, I'm talking from experience here, and I might get a bit like emotional and passionate because some of these situations are going on at the moment with friends that I know. You know, I'm not going to mention names or anything, obviously, but it's like women are being left. There's non-molestation orders in place. You know, there's people who are waiting to go to court over harassment and things like this. And these offenders are repeatedly offending, continuing the harassment, continuing the domestic abuse and violence, and they are just left like, oh yes, there's a warrant for their arrest, but they're just left out there continuing to harass these women. I've even seen a case where a woman was told to keep reporting any contact from the offender, and then when she kept reporting every bit of contact, she was then told that she was going to get done for wasting police time. Like, it's just insane. When she had like a marker on her house, supposed to be at high risk of homicide, there was a break-in, she believed it was the abusive ex, and she was told to enter the property. And the police didn't even come out till the very next day. And it's just like, women are just left with these men still out here, and nothing ever happens. And then it goes to court, and most of the time it's not a custodial sentence, or a restraining order isn't put in place, and the non-molestation orders are not worth the paper they're written on.
100%.
Would it be a thing where society would have to change its views or its whole stance to a point
massively.
where if a woman was in that situation, all the guys would come together and go and fuck the guy up?
No, we'd say this is the thing. This is the thing. Yeah, we have a situation where we would all claim that if a woman is assaulted in any kind of way, if a woman is hit, if a woman is sexually assaulted, that we're all against it, and if that happens, we'll fuck them up as a community, like, as mandem. But when
that's not the way forward.
That's not happens. We don't. We go, ooh, what happened though? Just I'm not sure if I can. I'm not sure if I know. I'm not sure. Like, and that's just our natural reaction as men at the moment in society. So we sit here pretending that we're against it, and then we justify it or excuse it when it happens to get out of actually doing anything about it.
Well, you got to remember a rapist will have lots of allies. You understand? That's the real reason why.
I read something on my timeline today that just reminded me how normalized this has been for us growing up. Yeah.
I want to ask you some questions, Nova, about.
I'm gonna tell you this one status. Yeah, I'm gonna tell you about this one status. Yeah. It was about a Fresh Prince of Bel-Air episode. Someone wrote this story saying, I've just been watching the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and there's an episode where Will Smith is like got this girlfriend, and like he's trying to have sex with her, and she said, I'm not gonna have sex with you until we get married. So he gets Jazzy Jeff to come and pretend to be a priest and like pretend to marry her, basically, so that you can like, and this is like on a children's TV channel show, he sets up this whole fake wedding so that he can trick this woman into having sex with him, right? And then
that's coercive control right there.
Then, like in kids, and then basically in the story, at the last minute, he gets cold feet and he backs out and thinks, no, this isn't right. And then
conscience got the better of him.
And then Jazzy Jeff pulls him aside at one point. He's like, yeah, don't do it. Just get her drunk.
Oh no!
Like, don't quote me, but basically, like, just get her drunk and take her in kind of thing. Like, and I'm just like, I'm gonna go and watch this episode later. I'm gonna go and find it because I'm paraphrasing from what someone explained.
I need to see this.
I'm gonna watch it later because that's just insane. And I remember the episode. I remember watching that as a child. So this is the kind of normalization that's been going on.
Well, what I want to ask you as well, Nova, this might be a bit of a controversial question still. Oh, so basically, you've had fallouts with a lot of people online, even some members of your own crew to some degree.
Actually.
Like, to some degree, literally, were these fallouts, were they over like this sort of stuff you've been talking about, or was it just egos clashing?
Yeah, like, it's usually over this kind of stuff. Like there are a lot of people in UK hip hop.
Every single one of these things was over.
A lot of people in the UK hip hop scene who I've known coming up, or have been cool with, or we know who each other are. Maybe we're not cool. And there's a lot of them that have big problems with me now. Every single one of them, I'm pretty sure, is to do with something around this. And most of them about issues of misogyny more than anything else. One's my own crew, that's not stuff.
Even recently, I don't want to mention any names yet, but recently you had a back and forward with a I'd say you could say a high profile MC.
Oh, with
MC.
I don't even mind saying that one about fuming. I forgot it happened so much.
Yeah, so you had a. I didn't really want to mention names. You know what I mean? Because the focus ain't on the individual right now. The focus is on the whole problem as a whole.
I'll be honest with you. That was one of the worst ones I've ever had. So I don't even care. Fuck him. You know what I'm saying?
All right. Okay. So this is what we're saying. So you've had quite a few.
When did this happen?
This happened the other day. I had a look.
I don't think I've seen this. No.
By the time I got in there, it was already mayhem.
I posted a conversation, right? So this is Fuming, the grime MC who was on the first verse.
Yeah, I know who you mean.
Someone wrote in the comment like, "Yo, he's barking down the wrong tree or something, or falling down the wrong tree." But I said it was about Tory Lanez, right? So Tory Lanez has got this whole situation. He shot Meg Thee Stallion. He's going to court for it.
Mm-hmm.
There's all these menamists on the internet saying he's innocent, even though he was caught with the gun. There was like bullet wounds in her. They deny all of that because they take all their information off the back of a meme. But those are the facts. And basically there was a viral rumor that Tory Lanez had all charges dropped, and obviously they all went mental. Was like, we told you he was innocent. So, and it turned out that was bullshit. The charges are so like, I just wrote a status saying, "Yo, imagine that actually being so excited that Tory Lanez's charges had been dropped that you went all over the internet like attacking women and just to find out that it wasn't true." You know what I'm saying? And then Fuming jumped in like, "Yeah, imagine being a snitch." And I was just like, "What? Snitch?" And I'm like, so he's like, "Yeah, she's a snitch." And I was just like, okay. I was like, so what are you telling me? Women who get abused, who report their abuse are snitches? I was like, what if a woman is raped and she reports that to the police? Is she a snitch? He said, yeah, if you put someone in jail, you're a snitch. Call it whatever you want. I was just like, no way.
No.
So I lost it with him and just started cussing him out for ages, and it went on and on and on and on. So
wow. No, but to be fair, like I have to say, as a woman, like, because I think we've never met Nova, right? I've met Terra. I've met Terra in real life. We've never met. We've spoke like occasionally. You've jumped in a couple of times when I've been having like maybe a bit of feminist beef. And I have to say, like, as a woman, I do appreciate what you do and how you try and educate people and the way you go on. Like, some people, it's in a very like white knight way, but that's not you. Like, and I really do appreciate what you do and that fight, because I know sometimes you say like, oh, maybe I shouldn't speak on it, or maybe I shouldn't lead a conversation, but I think sometimes it's good to have a man lead a conversation on it, because sometimes you will be listened to more than me or another woman.
I think maybe lead a conversation in a room full of men, maybe, or like.
Yeah.
But even when I say that, I mean, like, I have to, in order for me to do that, I mean, I have to have learn about that from women. I don't want to come with this just to say what I think it is and say, right, this is what it is, and start mansplaining and all of them kind of things. So I'm weary of it. And I know I will get accused of like the white knight kind of thing, and I kind of just have to accept that that's going to come with it and just be as careful as I can.
Well, as a woman, I don't think it comes across that way, and I appreciate what you do.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
You get me? That's social justice warrior. You get me? You know where to get it if you want it, if you want to support the cause. And Nova, I was going to ask you, without incriminating yourself, is there any point where you have to put in any work for your cause?
I haven't put any work. Like,
you don't have to give specific names or dates or places.
Do you know what? Like, I'm so grown in it, and like now, like since I've been on this path, which is like the last 5 years, I've not been out here swinging and putting hands on people too tough. You might be thinking of an example where I did and I can't even think of it. But I don't know. The truth is, I know I did in the past, and do you know what? I don't think I was always a feminist. I think I was quite a misogynist at some point in my life, even though I probably thought I was very. I realized I wasn't at a point in my life.
Yeah.
But some of my friends did point out that like Ben and that was like, yeah, you've been doing this for years, man. Saying I was just you outside clubs. They call me Captain Save-A-Hole and all of them.
Yeah, I've seen you run a few people out of a few rooms still. I've seen you run a few people out of a few rooms though, bro. I remember. I've even
probably more for ego reasons at the time. And at the time, like when I was, I wasn't at a place where I think I could be in any position to like tell anybody what they should be doing and how they should treat women and how they should think about these kind of things, because I wasn't there myself. So I am now. And to be honest, like, I think in that clubhouse, I don't know if you know the comedian Sideman, he's been doing talking about a lot of the things that I'm talking about in more of a kind of specifically about black women and protecting black women kind of space, right? And I've been listening to it so much, and I'm just seeing him. He's getting the same kind of thing. Oh, you're just doing it for this. You're just doing it for that. And just shutting him down. And he just doesn't care. Yeah. And he said, like, in a room full of like, you know, all of these kind of big UK rap acts in the more like bigger UK rap world, you know, like a lot of them are gangsters and all of them kind of things. And he was like, if anyone has a problem with me, like protecting black women or wants to put their hands on black women or something, like, come see me, that, or I'm gonna do something about it. He said something in a kind of threatening manner, and loads of people came out like, "How you can't say that? How can you say that?" And he was just like, "Well, you shouldn't. Like, are you saying you want to be doing those things, or like, yeah, I can say." I'm not saying I'm a bad man, because I'm not a bad man, but on that kind of level, that's what the right thing to do is. We need to stand up, And then Lippy, you know Lippy from for the culture.
Yeah.
Sometimes on the right, he's usually on the right side of it as well, but I think he's a bit, you know, confused at times, and he's still learning. But he was like, "Nah, you're doing too much. You're doing too much. You can't tell man that you're gonna do them." Like, he was shutting that down for some reason. He went, if it was racism, like, and it was a white brother saying, if you're gonna be racist to black people, I will come and do something to you. No, he's like, we'd be telling him he's doing too much. And I wanted to jump in the conversation at that point, but I didn't. I kind of wish I did, because you can put your hand up on the app. I wasn't in the thing able to speak, but I wanted to put myself forward. But then I thought, you know what, this conversation happened, let it happen. But I was thinking, why wouldn't you do that? Me as a white person, if I see someone being racist and all of that, why wouldn't you go and physically back that person? Or, do you know what I'm saying? Like, that's the right thing to do. So
not enough people.
So at the end of the day, I am down. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know if it's come to that too tough. There's a lot of UK people in UK rap that I'm pretty sure want to fight me because of these things that I've been talking about.
I wanted to speak about that. Like, you know, like, there's been quite a few people I've seen actually call you out to fight, and there's been a lot of, like, you know, there's been a few like memes and stuff put out there, and you know what I mean, a few underhanded comments. What is your message to these people, Nova? Like,
no one's really usually calling man out to fight, like, oh, fuck me, like one or two maybe. And one person who said that to me on the phone, it wasn't even to do with all of this. It was him backing for his brethren who was like an argument about misogyny. But it was more because I realized he had an issue with me and felt I'd disrespected him at some point.
In the past.
And in the end, I was like, you know, we were like, what is the actual problem? Yeah, he was actually on starting, you know what I'm saying? So I was just like, yo, actually, he's the only person who's been like, yo, fuck man and all this. And I was like, see me when you see me. You know what I'm saying? Like, cool. I don't have no problem with fighting you, or see me when you see me, whatever. But we carried on talking, and it got to a point of understanding. So that's the only one time. And other than that, it has been people saying, when I see you, and I know when I see you, they ain't gonna do nothing. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, my message is, cool. One, I'm not that guy, don't play with me. But more than that is, I wasn't speaking to you about something that requires us fighting. You know what I'm saying? I haven't disrespected you. Yeah, I am talking to you about an important issue of like social problems in our society. If you're not ready for that conversation, maybe just back out of it. But unless you're going to address the actual issue we spoke about, then there's no problem point in us having any interaction. You know what I'm saying? Like you're like, and I haven't, like, all I've done is probably gone, oh, that's kind of misogynistic, you know, or, you know, because someone will write something and they don't realize they're being misogynistic. Just like we don't realize it's misogynistic what we're watching on a Fresh Prince show growing up. So if I'm going, oh, you know what you just said there, boom, 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 like that's slut shaming, and I'll tell you what slut shaming is and explain it to you because you obviously don't know. Yeah, man, get angry. Like, I haven't disrespected you. I'm actually doing something to help you. So just, there's no reason for me and you to be fighting. And if you want to fight over that, then cool. That's you come. Anyone wants to put their hands on me, then it's a different situation. You just
and that's what these people are getting angry over. So that's all of this stuff that's going on. You people getting blocked and removed from friends lists and all that. That's basically.
I don't block no one as well, by the way.
Nova, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
You know these men that get angry about it.
Yeah.
Do you think it's because they have a guilty conscience?
For sure. They may not know that, but yeah. And I think it's because
even if it's like subconscious kind of thing.
There's a definite guilty subconscious, but also I think they have justified this kind of behavior to themselves for so long that they want to argue that it's okay. They want to continue doing it. They don't want to be. They don't want any change.
They want to be called out on it. Yeah.
They don't want to be called out, but they don't want to have to change. They don't want to. I can't treat women like that. You know, they want to keep women as.
They want to continue as well.
Someone who women are the people to blame for this situation.
Hold on, because do you know what? My mum's watching, and she's literally just sent me a text message saying, I recently read an article that said the lack of protection of black women from black men stems from the days of slavery, where the white boss would take the black women slaves to rape them. If their husbands or menfolk tried to defend them, the men would be beaten, possibly to death. So this is entrenched in the genes programming of black men.
And most importantly to that, that it was done by white men. So white men created. If that's something that's true, it's something that white men created.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm careful with them kind of conversation because I definitely try and avoid conversation where it centers around us. This is just about black men and how and that specific community. I try to speak about men on the whole. That is one of the incidents where I think this is not my place. And that's why I love Sideman. Like Sideman, someone in that community, he's a black man speaking like that. That's his conversation to me. But yeah, that's interesting. But my only point would just be like, yeah, there's another thing that white men are at the center of.
Boy, what else was I going to ask?
Ill thought just broke.
Jesse, did you notice when you were around like the hip hop community in London? Did you notice a lot of misogyny and sexism in that scene?
I've experienced a lot of misogyny from the London hip hop community, especially via Facebook.
Okay.
And the expectations, and the treatment of me. Like I've had quite a few experiences where artists have maybe wanted to work with me, offered me like opportunities, and then it's become apparent that they want more, and when I've not wanted more, those opportunities have then disappeared, sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's a weird.
It sounds about right. I'm not gonna lie.
It's a weird place in our world of UK hip hop because there's less women in it than other like rap scenes in the UK, and they're not very like. From my conversations with women in it as well, and what I've noticed is just they've never really been that welcomed. And if they are, they kind of. It's under
an expectation. It's definitely under an expectation. Like I had, me and Terra discussed it actually earlier. I had an experience with someone who they came to me they expressed that they wanted me to work on this project that they were doing. I've never met them. I didn't really know too much about them. Looked a little bit into them, like seemed like okay, like let's see what happens. It seemed like an interesting project to me. They specifically wanted someone to do like spoken words. So I do rap a little bit, but I'm shy about it. So it was specifically spoken word. I was like quite excited, thought it'd be something interesting. And then he like got a bit flirty and stuff. And at the time I was in a relationship. So I kind of made it clear that I wasn't interested. And then his response to me, so I was kind of like, I'm not interested. It would be like business only kind of thing. His response then to that was kind of to be like, oh, you're not that nice anyway. You're just a scene girl. And I was a bit like, what the fuck? Scene girl? And he was like, oh yeah, because of look at all the mutual friends we've got. And I was a bit like, so?
I've never heard that term. I've never heard that term before. That's insane. So you see what I'm saying though? So you're not welcome, or you're just like what we don't want girls in our scene,
like you're just a scene girl. You're not that nice anyway. I'd only fuck you. I wouldn't wife you. And I was just like, what the fuck?
Wow.
Yeah.
And how long ago was this? How long ago was this?
You know what? That specific one was a few years ago now. But it's funny because I see like him rear his ugly head every now and again on Facebook, and he always seems to be getting in some shit.
You know what? Them man are real insecure, like, really sexually frustrated little men, man. It's like, I don't know, man.
I think you know what it is. Like, I think London has can have a detrimental effect on people to the point where people, like, it might not even be their actual character. Understand? It might literally, that's how mad things are. It might not even be
away from though. Let's not
but the environment they're in and what they're dealing with, yeah.
Bro, this happens everywhere.
You can't blame it on a city, Terry. You can't blame it on a city. It is genuinely.
I'm not blaming it on the city. I'm not blaming it on the city.
Certain men have expectations of women, and certain men objectify women that much and see women's worth as only being that physical, sexual stuff, that this is how they think they can treat women, because to them that's their attitude and that's normal. And then when someone like me comes along and is like, no, they don't fucking like it. I don't get it so much anymore.
I want to know how would that even work in the first place, though? How would that even work on someone in the first place? How would that approach work on someone in the first place? This is what I'm more baffled about. I'm more baffled about the woman that says, okay, and I don't know, innit? I don't know, like.
Because maybe that woman doesn't like fully see her worth. Maybe that woman isn't in the greatest place herself. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We've all made mistakes and fucked with the wrong people. Do you know what I mean?
It all comes back down to like
we judge women
in society. You know what I mean? It all comes down to broken individuals in a broken society.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, that's the kind of level that is. That's the level that is. You know what I mean? But I don't know.
We judge women for it in a different way than we judge men, and that's why that's what a lot of my arguments come out from. I see somebody who's shaming a woman who's in the scene as well, and being like, "Oh, you're just this."
But that could be down, and also that's because the woman's an easy target as well. In their eyes, the woman's an easy target. So that's another reason why they're choosing to. Obviously, that person's got anger or whatever they want to channel, but they want to try and go for an easier target. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I was having that exact conversation yesterday, Terra, dealing with the security guards and dealing with the police yesterday at the court. It's very obvious how they will deal. Like, I felt like I was dealt with in a different way. Like felt like they could just walk over to me and intimidate me because I am a small woman. And it's really annoying, like, that people think they can just walk up to me and intimidate me because I'm a woman and because of my size. There's an interesting one, I don't know if you've seen people like speaking about it, that if as a woman, like when you're walking towards a man, like, and they're approaching you, don't move out the way. And the majority of the time, that man will not move for you. And it's an interesting little experiment. And I tell you now, it works. They do move.
Yeah. Wow.
You move when it's a man there, or definitely a man with some size.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's interesting.
I would always move out the way.
I think the story you were just telling, it makes me think of the same thing again, even the Fresh Prince thing and a couple other things that I've had with friends, is that, and don't get me wrong, like I say, I'm come on this journey in the last 5 years, much stronger. Like, I've probably done things like this in my life, but it's that idea of just when men are pursuing women and telling them a lie, like you're trying to trick them into the situation. Yeah, where Terra mentioned, even my own friends, I'll be, you know, I stopped drinking like nearly 6 years ago as well, 5.5 years ago. So I don't go out as much. But when I used to go out, and when I was still going out, when I first stopped drinking, I just started observing my friends more, like, because I'm just not drinking. I'm really seeing things for what they are, and I'm starting to
horrified, weren't you?
and I started to just notice, and yeah, I was saying maybe I've done these things, but I know I didn't do it in this way, because I would definitely not be out in the club acting like this. But I just noticed some of my friends who'd be trying to chat girls all the time, and they would like pretend to be whoever they thought that girl wanted them to be in that moment. It's like, what do you do? They tell them what they do, and it's like, oh yeah, I do that as well, and just like, well, then,
I was just about to say, men will mirror you and make out that they're interested in the same things as you just to get involved with you.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen it happen. I've experienced it myself, and I've seen it happen to people. And then like these guys all of a sudden turn into a whole other person, and you're like, what?
I basically started watching one of my friends constantly. I'd be out in the club and I'd watch him do it a number of times in the night, and I'd watch all the personalities come out. And I just sat there and I thought, this is really awkward. Like, this is really uncomfortable. I don't like standing here in this conversation, like if it's in a circle of us or whatever. And then, you know, he was a bit too interested in girls quite younger than him as well. Not in an illegal sense, but in a sense that I just wasn't comfortable with. And I cut that person off out of my life. I blocked them and everything completely. You know, I was just like, I can't deal with this no more. I may speak to them again at one point, because maybe I can have these conversations at one point in life when they're ready. But I was just like, I can't deal with this, man.
Do you think there's an issue with that in the scene, with guys being interested in underage or a lot younger women?
It's definitely something I've seen. I think it's an issue across the board. I don't think I've seen loads myself recently. I think it's something I saw a lot more when I was a bit younger myself, but I don't know. I haven't seen so much now, because I would hope to think we're all very, very fucking old, and it's just not
yeah. Unfortunately, I'm Rudy. Sorry, excuse my dog. I'm still seeing it.
Yeah.
From men in their 30s, like approaching 14, 15-year-old girls and knowing it and not caring. Yeah.
Nice. Well, you know what? There's been some like cases where people have been locked up for that sort of thing quite recently as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, it definitely happens. I wouldn't say I've seen it too much within the actual hip hop scene as what you'd call the hip hop scene.
No,
I've definitely seen it around some artists. This was going back quite a few years.
Yeah. And
I definitely checked them about it, and we got into some, like, do you know what I mean? Like, we got into a little back and forward. Do you know what I mean? I ain't gonna mention no one's name.
On this one in the street. I have to tell. I said, Terra. I said, you stuck it on, man. You are.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but you know, I have. But going back to what Jess was saying. No, but is this what I'm saying? Going back to what Jess was saying earlier. How come no one, when you get into a situation, no one does nothing? Because I've stuck it on, man, and like, you know what I mean? You know, the same energy that I'm with people, innit? So we're all going to stick it on a couple man, and the energy is just a bit different, and it's almost like, well, really and truly, you'll be surprised. You might think that everyone's going to be with you on that moment, but there's going to be some people that are just fucking,
No.
you know, they're not actually, they don't want you to fucking.
It's the same with the lockdown stuff. It's the same with the lockdown stuff. There's a lot of people that I thought would be out there on the anti-lockdown protests that just aren't.
You know, there's a lot of dodgy guys. There's a lot of dodgy guys out there. You know what I mean? The problem is they all seem to hang around with each other. They seem to, you know, they seem to be pretty firmed up. Not in a way where they're any kind of threat, but at the end of the day, just realistically, innit? That's how they're rolling. And I did what I can to the point where I did have words with people, and I did just say to them, don't do it around me. I don't know what I can't change the way you are. Don't do it around me. Basically, don't come around me. That's all I could really say. Other than that, we could have had a big full-on war, and they would definitely. I would have been outnumbered in that war. You understand? So that's how I have to leave it. You know what I mean? I'm at a point where I put my life on the line, innit? And when it goes that far, you realise who's actually fucking down for the cause and who ain't. And you've got to be careful. You know what I mean? You know, you can't call it. There's a lot of men who are going to sit there and say, I'm not a fucking rapist, I'm not this, but when it comes down to it...
Sometimes it's surprising who comes out.
Yeah, exactly.
Not on side, like, wow.
You know, so you'd be surprised who's a sympathiser. And it's funny, because some of the people that we referred to tonight are also, I will be honest, are also rapist sympathisers. You know what I mean? That's why... that's what I'm talking about. Certain men are rapist sympathisers.
I've definitely seen that from who we've been speaking about earlier.
Yeah, certain people are rapist sympathisers, and that's why when people ask me why I'm not in London, it's better that I'm not in London. You understand? Because at the end of the day, I can't have.
You understand this happens everywhere.
In my name, huh? What you say?
I understand this happens everywhere. It's not a London thing.
I know. I'm just saying, in this situation, certain people I know what they're dealing with.
Around them people, yeah. You're not seeing them people.
Not a
they want to.
Don't get me wrong. These men, listen, these men, don't get me wrong. Yeah, they can put on this gangster act to whoever they want. Yeah, they can put on that gangster act to whoever they like, except for me, and they know it. Yeah, so at the end of the day, it's better these people just stay out my fucking way. Yeah, and fucking maybe like stop treating women a certain way, you know what I mean? Stop having all these, do you know what I mean? Stop being a creep, stop making yourself look bad, and obviously I won't have to fucking speak about you, and you won't have to get more angry, and then we won't have to eventually see each other, and then you'll be forced to fight me because you keep talking my name. So that's how we're dealing with things. Social justice warrior, you get me? And I might be wearing a social justice warrior hoodie when this happens.
The social justice warrior. Are you up?
Am I lagging on that?
No, you're here.
I think the internet is bugging out a little bit, so I think maybe we should wrap it up. So I don't know if it keeps coming in and out at this point, and hopefully when we watch it back, it's gonna. I think there might be a few bits that dropped out, but I think most of it will be there. But social justice warrior, these bits are not out yet, but they will be. At the moment, they're just on my Bandcamp, Novar FLIP Bandcamp. You get the t-shirts. There's an EP coming as well, Social Justice Warrior, with some music. I'm just working out the visuals and all of that at the moment, man. And I got this funding from Help Musicians UK, so I got a bit of a budget to push this music.
You should chuck some of that budget my way, Nova, as a tribute.
I got some powerful. Honest, I haven't really made social commentary music for a long time, since like Peace Not War back in the day, so at the moment I'm excited. I've got some powerful pieces of music about, I've got one that's about racism, I've got one that's about feminism, I've got one that's about all these people that get triggered, and it's kind of about the UK hip hop scene a little bit.
Nova, I think he's gone.
I got
he's back. You keep cutting out, Nova. Yeah, you might want to wrap it up.
I think I keep cutting out as well,
I think you're still there. You're still there, Jess.
Okay, cool.
You're still there, Nova. I don't know where he is.
No, I can only see you now.
He's not even there.
You know what? We've been on a while, I didn't even realise it had been that long.
We've been on almost an hour and a half.
Yeah.
It's been a good show.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
We can't see you though. Where are you?
I see you, but we can hear you.
I
No, I can see you.
see myself, but
No, I can see you.
let's wrap it up, man. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having
very
me.
interesting, man.
Definitely.
Thank you for having me on,
Probably our
guys.
best day yet.
I mean,
All right. The sound's gone. What's going on?
we
All right. Go. Face.
Peace.
Go.
Bad Flavia.